On this episode of The AutoArchaeologist, we're here probably digging up one of the rarest Chargers in existence, a 1972 six-pack Charger. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of extra context of why this car is so rare. Because normally I don't do this, but so few people have heard about them that I thought it'd be a good piece to interject and let you guys know. 1971 was basically the end of the line for the muscle car, for the most part. The Hemi was gone after 71. I think it was the LS6 was gone. You know, Shelby's were gone by then. The Boss 351 in 71 was like the high point. Yeah, there was a few others that continued in that track. The Charger Rallye was an example. The Mach 1 Mustangs, the Chevelle still had the SS's. There were still SS Camaros and Firebirds and such. But for the most part, the horsepower party was over. Before basically 1971, the manufacturers were showing gross horsepower ratings. That's what, produced the, 425 horsepower Hemi, the 500 horsepower GSX and so on. But by 1972, they were mandated to do by net horsepower with accessories on it and such. And so the horsepower numbers dropped significantly. But for the most part, all the high horsepower engines were gone, except for one. For a very short time in late 1971 still, you could order the six-pack or six-barrel engine in a Charger Rallye or a Plymouth Roadrunner GTX. So that was always the plan, was there was going to be a option for the six-pack or six-barrel engine in the Dodge and Plymouth Charger and Roadrunner in 72. It got so far down the line, obviously they produced a few, but they actually produced content for their dealerships and all that, showing it as an option. Unfortunately, on October 28th, 1971, that was killed, with only a handful being built. After the October 28th decree, basically all of the six-pack, six-barrel information had to be removed from all the books, all the databases, and there was memos, which I'll show here, outlining what was going on. And it was very interesting that obviously it got so far and was canceled. Fortunately enough, a handful of cars were built in that time, and that's what I'm going to talk about here. This right here is probably one of the rarest Dodge Chargers in existence. It is one of two known 1972 Dodge Charger Rallye 446-pack cars. For like 1 week in 1972, you could order the six-pack for the 72 model year. And there's only two known Dodge Chargers, this one and a red one, and one known Roadrunner in existence. This one has been sitting for, I think, probably 30 years, 40 years. I'll know more when I interview the rest of the crew. But this is not the original hood, even though when the current owner did buy the car, the father bought this car new from the Chrysler executive lot, and it had a flat hood and yellow standard doors, because the story is someone was driving this car at Chrysler and got it pinched between two concrete columns, and they had to replace the whole front end and the doors with just standard stuff. Real quick, I'll pop the hood. Oh, hold on. Cats are awesome. Yeah, there we go. This is a true 72 automatic six-pack car. It's got we got the fender tag, it's off the car, but it's got this really unique tag, and I'll show a close-up picture of it here in a little bit. Power disc brakes, power steering. You go ahead, got it. And then I'll post pictures here of the core support does match the cowl, and I haven't checked the trunk lid yet, but the VIN number is, I'm blanking on it. I'll put it here in the description. But this thing is just so cool. Let me lower the hood. Oh, sorry. And then, obviously in 72, they had the side gills, or not the side slots. Well, in 71, they had gills. And there we go. WH23V2G 100075. Real early production. This thing is so neat. It's got an 8 3/4 rear end. The owner of this car raced it. At one time it was painted up, had Night Stalker on it. This car is going to be sent off to restoration literally after we load it up today. This thing, like I said, one of 2 known 72 V-code Chargers. And then one Roadrunner. So as this develops, I will keep everyone updated because this will be really cool to see as it goes.
I'm ringing. I don't know where that number is. Well, you never know. It's still hold. It could be in there somewhere. Buried in there. Over this? Yeah, it's all right, Mark.
No.
We don't want any more ballpark.
A little bit better.
A little better?
We move the car back a few inches so we can get a better front end view. Because this is what you saw in my article from 10 years ago. That is just so cool. Here it goes. Are we good on the going up the ramp?
In the paparazzi.
Magnum Auto Restoration was there to pick up the Charger, and they took it right back to the shop in LaSalle, Illinois, and almost immediately cleaned it up because they needed to see what exactly they'd be working with. And in reality, the Charger was in really good shape. The worst of it, you can see the floors were fine other than the patch. It did need a little bit of work, but that was going to be easy after McCacken. The car has had coverage in the past. It was in Mopar Collector's Guide magazine in May of 2009, and I did coverage on it in 2015 for Mopar Connection online magazine. I went over the fender tag and decoded it to the best of my abilities, even doing the old take it off, flip it around. Nothing really goes crazy on it. It's a sales, bank car. It had a lot of really nice options, bucket seat, automatic, power disc brakes, but nothing really stand out other than it being a 6-pack car, which is, of course, amazing. And even more rare is they have a copy of the actual window sticker for this car, which shows that, it had the light package with the map lights and the courtesy lights and all that. It shows the breakdown of the Rallye package. It shows that it had painted stripes, not the vinyl decals, and that it was a special car for an executive, which you just don't see. The number that floats around is that there were 7 6-pack and 6-barrel cars combined built for 1972. Now, there's only been a physical documentation of 3 of those cars. I'll go into more detail on them in a minute, but let me talk about the theoretical ones. Now, I interviewed Galen Govier, one of the probably premier Mopar expert in our field. He has decades of information on this stuff, and him and I have talked at length about it because I was fortunate enough to document the 72 6-barrel Roadrunner GTX from about 10 years ago. Him and I had a nice long conversation, and he says that he has documentation on a handful more cars. Galen has information on another 72 Charger 6-pack car, another yellow one, this one with a white top, white interior, bench or bucket seat console. It was a Lynch Road built car, And the car's build sheet was found in another Charger that was in Canada. Galen was contacted by the owner saying, hey, I got this extra build sheet in my Charger, and it's weird. Here you go to try to reunite it. And it is another it is a V code, which is the code for 6-pack or 6-barrel engine in Dodge and Plymouth. It's a V code in the VIN number, the fender tag, and in product data. So that's the first one that we don't know what happened to it. There's no other documentation on it other than the build sheet exists. There's another 72 6-pack Charger that he only has heard of word of mouth. The guy he got the information from is pretty solid. So, but he doesn't have the full VIN number, but he says that there was a verified 72 6-pack Charger in Texas around the 2000s, and it sold and shipped to Sweden. No other information beyond that, but he believes that to be a legit car. And then the third car in his database, other than the known cars, is a 72 6-barrel Roadrunner that he has information on. The 72 6-barrel Roadrunner GTX was in the Iowa DMV in January of 1977. Beyond that, he has no other information. Color, owner, nothing. Just that there was one in the database in 77. After that, it goes cold. So if you know of any of these cars, let me know. I'd love to add them to my information. There are a few cars that are assumed to have been 72 6-pack cars or 6-barrel cars. There's a few magazine articles information on a 72 6-barrel Roadrunner GTX, 446 6-pack, but it has a 4-speed. And in all the documentation we uncovered, none of them, it actually shows that it's only automatics that it was available with. Also, from the information I've been able to uncover through publications and other people I know, the 72 Roadrunner from the magazine was actually a 71 car done up like a 72. Not only is it from my other sources that they said that that's true, but you can see in the pictures that it's basically all 71 options. Like the engine's a 71 6-pack, has all the 71 stuff. It was you can see like the colors, it was an orange engine, while 72 6-packs were blue. The interior was a 71, so it's just a done up car for publishing. I'll show you this. RoadrunnersNest.com has been invaluable with the information that they collected on these cars. Now let's go back to the cars that I have personally been able to document. The 6-barrel Roadrunner and obviously the Shank 72 Charger. The 6-barrel Roadrunner, the owner was a friend of mine named Larry. He was a very nice gentleman, and about a decade ago, he allowed me the opportunity, over a decade ago, almost 15 years ago, wow. He allowed me the opportunity to come to his shop and see the car as it sat. And it had been sitting in his garage for, I believe at that point it had been like 20 years. Let's go back though. That car was uncovered by a gentleman by the name of Russell when he uncovered it in a junkyard in South Carolina and bought it, rescued it, and then sold it to Larry when it was put up for sale. Larry then took the car and put it in his garage, and that's where it sat until, unfortunately, Larry passed away, and the car was sold to the Brothers Collection. I'll get to that in a minute. Larry had never done anything with the car other than collected a plethora of new old stock parts for the restoration one day. It is unfortunate that he didn't get that chance, but one of the really cool things that he did do was for the 2013, it was 2013, the very first Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals barn find display, he brought the Roadrunner to the show. And it was the only time he ever displayed the car out in public. And I was very honored that he took that opportunity to do it with me and for me, because I asked. And it's always going to be one of the highlights of that show, seeing that car. And I had my friend Hemi Dart there, Mr. Norm was there, Larry was there, and we had a great time. And that just catapulted the barn find display into the stratosphere after that. Unfortunately, right after that, he took it back to the barn, and then, unfortunately, he passed away a few years later. What did occur was the car did get sold to the Brothers Collection, I'll call it, and they had the car restored by Magnum Auto Restoration in LaSalle, Illinois. They took all the parts that they had and restored it back to perfect condition. I mean, as delivered, blue engine and everything. 72 six-pack carburetors, which are not the same as 71 six-pack carburetors, and a whole bunch of other very minute, interesting pieces. Also, it's a sunroof car, which is extremely rare in general. The fact that it was on that car was even crazier. And so now that car lives a pampered life. After coming to McCacken Show twice on display, it now is up in the Northwest in their car collection and is perfect. The second car I documented is this car that is in this video, the Shank 72 Charger 6-pack. I was fortunate enough, the son, Mike Shank Jr., allowed me the opportunity to document the car a little over a decade ago when it was being stored in his mother's garage, I believe. It was covered in boxes, and we weren't going to uncover it, but you'll see the pictures here. He was really nice that he let me do that, and I appreciate the opportunity. And then when this all developed, I was fortunate enough to be invited to see the car come back out for the first time in probably since the 90s. And so that's really cool. This car has a long history in Detroit. It was bought off the lease lot from Chrysler in, I think it was 72. Mike Shank Sr. bought it off the lease lot. And from there, there is 2 stories behind the car. One story that I heard is the car was known to have standard doors and a standard hood. 72 Rallye Chargers have the slotted doors and a power bulge hood. But his car, when he got it in 72, had the standard hood, the flat hood, and the standard doors. Now, one story says that when Mike Shank Jr. or Sr. went and looked at it on like a Monday, it had the Rallye doors and the Rallye hood. When he came back on Friday to pick it up, it had the standard door and the standard hood. Quickly that changed. He got it home and swapped it. He found like a junkyard car and swapped it all out to Rallye stuff again. The one story about it that he said someone moving it from the lease lot damaged the front end, and it damaged the front fenders, the grill, the hood, and the doors. And so they swapped over for another yellow car, and it was just a standard car. Another story is that it was a Chrysler executive car, and they wanted a sleeper, and that's why it had the standard doors and the standard hood. I've heard from a few people one story, and I've heard from a few people the other story. So I'm not quite sure who to believe. There's no documentation either way of the car being that way. I do know that there's a photo album of the car that exists from Mike Shank Sr. that there's pictures of it early in its life, and immediately Mike Shank Sr. turned it into a race car. It had a Maxwell engine, it had a Hemi at one point, it had a crazy paint job, it had, my one friend saw it in primer. It's really cool that my personal friend David Hakim, he actually was involved with this car in Detroit, and I'll let him say his side of the story here. All right, now, as we're investigating the history of the 72 V-Code Charger, David Hakim of Mopar Performance and HB2 Communications and Castrol, he actually was involved with the 72 back in the 80s. Mr. Hakim, what do you remember about the car?
Well, growing up in Detroit in the 70s and 80s, you got to know the Mopar people. And Mike Shank was a pretty big deal. We knew him because he worked at Mancini Racing. Super smart guy when it came to picking out camshafts, intake manifolds for your 440, 340, whatever you had. Mike had all the coolest Mopars, and one I remember specifically was the 72 Charger Rallye. And yeah, the fact he had a 446 pack engine that was like kind of unique, even in the early 80s, because me and my friends knew how to decode cars. We knew the infamous V code designated it was a 6-pack car, and yet everyone said no, they never built 6-pack cars in 72. There was living proof. But to us, this Charger was just like a cool car we take out on Gratiot Avenue, which was our big place we cruised back in the day. Woodward by the late 70s was, by the early 70s was like starting to fade out. And by the early 80s, when we were really hot and heavy and street racing on Gratiot, Woodward was basically just a memory of the past. But yeah, I remember Mike would toss me the keys to his Charger Rallye. It was, their top banana. jacked up with Krigger's mags, Night Stalker painted on the side of the car, and I'd go out and street race it. It had a hopped up 440 with a 509 cam headers and yada, 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 all the usual stuff we did back then. They probably ran like 13s, maybe even the high 12s back in the day, but that was a fun car. And yeah, we knew it was a cool car back in the day. We knew it was kind of rare, but we never realized how rare this car was that we're just going on beating, just beating on.
So, David, when did what happened in the 80s? Because I know it got put away, I think, in the 80s.
So by the mid 80s, we'd take the Charger out, and Mike would show up with the Charger at various local car shows. Then just one day, it disappeared. I don't know if he lost interest in the car, because Mike also had some other cool cars. He had a race car, 69 Roadrunner. He had a 66 Hemi Charger, which was really cool because he had Krieger SS mags on it and a ROWO hood scoop on it. He tossed me the keys today. So here, take it out for a ride. Go have some fun. Along with, he also had a Limelight 446 barrel Superbird also at the time. And Mike was just a great guy. God bless him. He was so easy to talk to. He was never intimidating. He'd help anyone out who needed anything. And he was a really cool dude. And he was a pillar of the Detroit Mopar community from his days on Gratiot Avenue street racing to Detroit Dragway. And we miss Mike, but I'm glad the Charger Rallye is gone to a good home and to be restored and come back out for everyone to see. A great example of a car supposedly Chrysler never built.
And you would know, being that you work at Chrysler.
Right, and I spent many years at Chrysler in my, when documenting, these cars and working at Mopar Direct Connection, then Mopar Performance, and it's been a long journey, but I've met a lot of neat people along the way, and Mike Shank and all his cool cars, and just hanging out in his garage, leaning against a Charger, talking about cars, engine combinations, what we should do. It was really cool.
Yeah. And you know a little bit about cool cars. What are you leaning on right now?
So what I'm leaning on here is my 1970 446 barrel Roadrunner, bought brand new by Wayne State University. You're probably thinking, why would a college buy a 70 Roadrunner? Good question. They bought it to tow unmanned vehicles into freeway signs and guardrails along an unused portion of Willow Run Airport. You see, the National Highway Transportation Safety Board commissioned Wayne State to figure out a way to make our highways safer. What they had found over the years, Armco and certain roadside signs would kill people. Not the accident itself, but you would either decapitate or you would actually hit the Armco and just smash a car into oncoming traffic. What the government wanted to do is figure out a way to make freeways safer, so they needed a vehicle that could tow, again, unmanned cars up to 60 miles an hour and do high-speed film of them crashing. So the road was used basically to pull these vehicles with a cable pulley method. It had a high-speed camera set up. And the professor who I knew, Professor Zobel was his name, I'm sure he's passed away, spec'd out a car with this much horsepower, this gear ratio, and these tires. So it's a 410 Dana car and F7014 polyglass car, automatic. And it's just a neat car, part of Detroit history, and it shows 26,000 miles on it. And I take it out and I race in the pure stock drags and beat the living crap out of it because that's what they're for.
Yeah, and I will say that it's not the only cool car you have. And let me show you I'm going to pan over real quick. He's also got a Demon 170. So David's got some provenance, let's say.
Let's just say this, on the Demon 170, that car will kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that as well. Thank you, sir, for giving me a little bit of history, and I'll hopefully share this with the world.
Thank you, Ryan.
And so that's really cool that Mike Sr. allowed David just to go take his cars out for a ride. Mike Sr. had a Superbird, he had a Hemi Charger, he had a black Roadrunner, he had the Godfather 69 Roadrunner that was run by McSwain, who still lives in Detroit. I actually interviewed him, and he told me a bunch of stories about, him and Senior driving the car and going all over the place and drag racing. It was some really cool stuff. There is a video of the 72 six-pack car sitting at the Mopar Nationals in 1985, and it was filmed by Five Star Productions by John Pappas. And he was one of the guys that was there when Larry Shepard said that 7 of those cars were built, which is really cool. So I'm going to have John's video here of that car and talking to Mike Shank Sr. back in 1985.
Yeah, let me get you on film, Mike. There he is. All right, all smiles. Mike, I got to film you by your car. I got to,
Okay.
Okay, we're top. Okay, now here's Mike's cars. He's got a 72 Charger Rallye, original 446 pack car. They only made, how many they make, Mike?
7. 7 illegally were made.
7 that got out into the public and nobody knows about it. And then right next to it, he's got a 66 or 67?
66 Hemi Charger.
66 Hemi Charger. Runs real good. 1130s. That's not bad.
Not for 4,400 pounds.
No. Then he owns, what else do you own, Mike? You got the
68 Hemi Roadrunner.
Let me get you here. There you are. Oh,
68 Hemi Roadrunner. I'm building a brand new 86 Hemi Dodge Daytona.
Oh my God.
I'll be Jegs chassis type car.
And when should that be done? Do you have an idea?
That will be in time for Autorama.
Oh my God, you're gonna have it.
That should be an Autorama. Yeah.
I think I may put my car in that ramp too.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'll park. Maybe we'll park next to each other. No.
Sounds good.
Okay. Let's see what's pulling up here. What's this?
I'm sure Belinda, when this is finished, will want to put that in there.
Belinda want to put which one? The Charger?
Too, yeah.
Yeah.
I had the 66 in last year.
What's wrong with? What does it need? What?
Oh, vinyl roof and some chrome trim and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you what, that car's gonna look sharp. It looks sharp now. How's it run?
Well, it's pretty good. It's got about 100 miles on the motor, so it's just breaking in now.
Wow. Yeah.
The red 72 six-pack Charger that was owned by Ron Slob at R&R. There's a video of it done by John Pappas at 5 Star Productions back when he did a tour of it back in, I think, 1990. So I'm going to put that here to give you just a brief glimpse because I have no other pictures on it I'm legally allowed to use because they're not mine. But here's his video just for context.
Down here in Aurora, Missouri, and we're taking a look at Ron Slob's Mopar collection, which, as we're going to find out, is a pretty hefty collection. And what we're going to do is let Mr. Slob tell us about most of the cars. Okay.
Yeah, this is a 72 Charger Rallye 446 pack car, one of possibly 2 built. Serial number is 0006. It's an early production car. Chrysler built a very few 446 pack cars in 72 before they decided not to produce them. Some people thought they hadn't even built any of these cars. I was lucky enough to find this car in New Jersey. And we haven't restored the car yet, but it's got somewhere around 50,000 miles on it. And original motor in it.
That's really cool. I mean, I was lucky that John had put that up online. That was really cool. So this car has a long history, and the family did decide to part with the car recently, and we put it together and put it in the trailer, and it went directly to Magnum Auto Restoration, where they're going to now restore the car back to OEM specs. I'll keep everyone updated as that develops. As of right now, I think they just cleaned it up because it's going to be going from the shop to the McCacken show here in November of 2026, and then immediately start the restoration. So it'll be a very short timeline. I hope everyone enjoyed that little walk through history with the 72 six-pack and 6-barrel cars. As of right now, as of this release, I'm on Hot Rod Power Tour, starting in Joliet and then going across the country to Tulsa, Oklahoma. You can follow me on my usual social media. I'll be posting daily updates and videos from the road and stories and videos and pictures, as well as doing YouTube stuff. So that should be a lot of fun. Then I'm going to be going back home and hopefully be hanging up a whole bunch of cool stuff on the way. So I'll keep everyone updated. Until then, stay safe on the roads, and I'll see you all soon.